Hey, Power fans, welcome to the 39th episode of the original Power After Show, the PowerWatch. Man, it just gets deeper and deeper, doesn't it? This was another power-packed episode. Would you agree?
Yeah, of course. This episode was great. Saw a lot of stuff going on here that I would love to delve into. It was great. There was a lot going on here. Like we mentioned before, Tariq's character is definitely building.
First thing we go to is the guys making the rounds in the neighborhood. And, everybody's involved. You got Kane involved, you got Drew involved. Everybody's a participant. They go ahead and house the dude who's not trying to pay at the vape shop. And there they go ahead and they collect their money and they head back to Monet. But then they get a little Instagram news. What's up with that, E?
Man, like the saying says, loose lips sink ships. So, there's a lot of talking going on, a lot of people, kind of this younger generation as a whole, the willingness and desire to put everything that they do on social media. When you're in that game, you have to refrain from that. And, that's something that's going to come back to haunt them down the line. Yeah,
this is going to super haunt them because that's going to be all, the police, they monitor these type of things. So, they're like looking at, okay, whose Instagram account or whose Facebook account is popping off with all this extra information. And maybe we might be able to be clued to some different crimes that are about to be committed or have been committed. There's two people running the family, and it's Lorenzo Tejada. He's doing that from inside the walls of the prison. But to be honest with you, it's Monet. She's the sergeant. She's doing her thing. And she's controlling stuff. Lorenzo is making decisions that would be best for the family, in my opinion, but not necessarily best for the organization. Do you agree?
So I think that Lorenzo Tejada is making decisions that, I think they're best for the family, but I also think that he's making decisions that he feels is best for the business as well. And the reason why I say that is when he had to pick between his two sons to run the business, he picked the one that didn't have as much of a hot head, because somebody's going to run the business needs to be calmer, needs to, not always shoot first and ask questions later. That brings a lot of heat, as we saw in the episode. There was no need for him to pull out that gun and start banging off rounds. That was just unnecessary. All that did is bring undue heat onto them. And had the officer not been there that is involved with Monet, they'd have had an issue. They'd had to kill a police officer or two to get out of that. And that's just not where you want to be if you want an organization that's going to last.
No doubt, because you can't get in trouble with the police. That you're trying to create a union with them in order to try to get things done what you want to get done. But at the same time, you don't want to be like in a situation where somebody's being arrested for murder, especially of a police officer. So that's kind of difficult right there. You're right. Now, on the other hand, they had to send a message. And to be honest with you, maybe Kane should have backed off a little bit. And this kind of really upset me a little bit as far as, the emotional involvement of the characters, because Kane, what he did at that point in time is he waited to give Drew an out where Drew could have said, okay, this is what Kane did and it was inappropriate. I mean, Drew didn't say anything. But at the same time, Kane, he ratted on his brother. He was like, no, he didn't pull out. So in the meantime, he didn't explain that Drew was in the process of pulling out and he was going to send a message.
I think Drew was going to put a gun to the guy's head. I don't think he would have ever fired a round. I think he was going to put a gun to his head, put the fear of God in him. That's what the smart move would have been at that moment in time. Scare him. You don't have to bang off any rounds. Scare him. That's all they needed. They needed somebody to bring him back down to reality. Get him off this social media stuff. I think that's why Drew's a better person. Drew's a better person to run the organization, and Kane's an amazing enforcer, and he's willing to get his hands dirty. But the person that's willing to get their hands dirty isn't always the best person to run the organization. We only saw that one time, and that was Ghost.
No doubt. So we got to look at Kane as if he's a tool. And he's the guy that you want to plug in, put here, put there, and he's going to accomplish goals. But at the same time, he's not going to be the person who's going to be running the show.
No, not at all.
All right, so we're going forward, and Tariq is doing this thing on campus. Now, here we go. Jesus Shuttlesworth, that's your boy. The dude who's like no clue whatsoever. And it's like Ezekiel. And this is the part that shocked me though, because the whole interaction between Monet and Diana, I thought that was damn good acting on Mary J's part and the young lady who plays Diana. Because, I mean, they were just basically schooling each other as far as what needs to go down. And what happened with that is that I was amazed that Diana said that she was just as good or better than Zeke. And I was like, whoa, this is a whole other storyline.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, it kind of goes back to a real systemic fundamental issue. And women's basketball players, they do not make as much money as men's basketball players. You know, there's a lot of reasons for that. Well, it just doesn't have the viewership. So,
Right.
You know, a lot of your money that these players are getting is coming from TV. It's coming from that, you know, the people throwing the money in towards the ads and all that. Well, that money's not there currently in the women's game. So that's why she's saying, look, you need to focus on something else because that's not going to take you to the promised land. I mean, I personally disagree with that because I think that there's definitely a ton of money out there for the women's basketball players to make. But when there's a lot going on inside this family, a lot of other, you know, endeavors going on with this family, I think that the best thing for her to do is to help her brothers because I don't think that they're fully all capable of really running this organization.
And she doesn't play a central role, but she definitely plays a supporting role. Now we're looking forward, and since we're already talking about Zeke anyway.
Can I say this real quick? Zeke is not a representation of athletes all over the place. I'm a little bit frustrated with the show for portraying him as being just this dumb athlete who knows absolutely nothing. You can go out there, be able to play professional basketball and be a student at the same time. And you don't have to be stupid to be an athlete. And, you know, and I'm thoroughly upset about the way that they're just portraying him. It sucks as an athlete, honestly. Sorry about that.
No, hey, you know, that's not digressing. That's focusing on the issue. And that's something we need to expand upon. Basically, what's happening with this is that this is definitely not, in my opinion, and probably definitely in your opinion, because you have more expertise in the area, this is definitely not the norm, especially nowadays where things are clamping down. So they might have, when they started thinking about this, they might have started thinking about old headlines and things like that. But there's probably a sprinkle here and there of cats who do get over like that, who don't give a damn, who are stupid, and they don't try to focus on the things that they need to do to improve and enhance their life or increase or improve their education.
I'll completely agree with you, but those guys are typically going to be guys that are going to be one and done. They're guys that probably would have gone straight to the NBA from high school, but because of the current rules, they have to go do 1 year at a college institution, which is, to me, a dumb rule because, hey, if they want to go do that and they can do it, more power to them. But all they're going to do is they're going to go to school. Your freshman year, the way that the NCAA rules work, I mean, it is very difficult to get put on academic probation, you know, your first year. But I mean, by the time you'd be able to get put on probation in order to not be able to play, but, you know, this guy is obviously going to be there for the long run. No one's going to ever survive doing 4 years the way he is. It's just a disrespectful, representation of the black male athlete, honestly.
Valid. Point taken, for sure. All right, so moving forward a little bit, you know, we're looking at Tariq's situation. He's trying to work with his mom, but now we're going to transfer it over a little bit to Tasha's situation. Now, Tasha is all supremely confident, you know, when she says what she says, you know, she's going to go ahead and portray herself in a certain light. And then McLean Davis brings in Tamika, blows up her spot.
Yeah, it's Tasha's definitely nowhere near ready to be on the witness stand. I think, unfortunately, Tasha's going to be found guilty regardless. I think that's going to take a miracle to get her off. But her taking the stand, if that's the best that she can do, will guarantee that she takes that guilty rap for it. She's too emotional. It's the reason why Tasha, you know, we all know she could never run an organization. But if she gets on the stand, she's going to be found guilty. That Drake came back 12-0 very quick. Oh,
but let's think about it this way, though. This was her first dipping her toe into the water. And you have to understand, it's like, okay, she thought she had this little hoopers thing going on there, but she thought she'd be able to handle it in court. And obviously, you know, the case is that she's not able to handle that. So she has to know right now that she has to go ahead and tighten up her testimony. And if they're able to get Tamika to join the team, that's really going to help. Do you think McLean Davis will be able to get Tamika to join the team?
A couple things there in response to that. So, one, he's going to be able to get Tamika to join the team. I think he's going to. I think that's the only reason why they showed it. Second, though, I still think that Tasha's emotions on a very strong cross, especially because the person that's going to be cross-examining her is going to be Cooper Saxe. You know, they have a long history together. So I think that that's going to play into it. And I think that Tasha emotionally will not be able to contain herself with a guy like Cooper Saxe on cross.
Well, think about it this way, though, also. Cooper Saxe doesn't want to be there. He does not want to say that Tasha's the king.
Just like he did when they were in the judges' chambers, he will ask questions and make sure you have no opportunity to elaborate more on those questions.
But that's where Cross comes in. And that's where Blanca, once they get her on the stand, she's going to let it all out. She's already told them that she's ready to go ahead and tell everything as far as knowing that Tasha had nothing to do with this murder.
Yeah, the problem is, what they're going to come back to is when Tasha stood up in that courtroom and said that Tommy Egan killed him because I told him to. That's going to haunt her for a long time because you can't get around that. You said that willingly. No one asked you. You were not, no one asked you that question. You basically admitted to being the person calling the shots. So it's going to be a very tough uphill battle for Tasha to get out of this situation.
I mean, she had bruises at the point in time, so it all depends on who reported that information about her physical condition at the time. So let's go back to Stansfield. The whole situation with Braden. I know he's not your favorite guy. I like him even more. Every episode, they're trying to build up some character for him. When Tariq tells him, like, I got to make this money for my mom. We're not making enough money for my mom. He said, I got you. I mean, of course, at the same time, he could go ahead and be trying to just blow up his own plate and make sure that Tariq trusts him so that they can make more money together because he can go ahead and attach himself to that wagon. But he might actually be trying to be a good friend.
He's a overprivileged rich kid who, wants to be part of the game. There's obviously no reason why he needs to be part of this game. You saw from the last episode when the police came, as soon as he said exactly who he was, they let his brother go. And he punched a cop in the face. You know what type of power that family has. He don't have to sell drugs. He's doing this because it's fun and it's basically low risk because he knows that his name likeness alone is going to get him off the hook.
But keep in mind, look at how he approached the officers. He went ahead and he was calm. He was rational. He explained who they were. And that got him over. But he wasn't aggressive and being a pain in the ass like your boy was. So he took a different approach. He
didn't have to be because he knew the second he said what his last name was is that the cops are going to let him go.
But he still did it. And at that same time, he's handling the situation in a different way than his brother would, obviously. So, maybe he's bad, maybe he's good. I guess it'll play out over time. And, they're going to twist this around like a sheet in the wind. Going forward, we got the court case. We got Tamika. Tamika's, first of all, she had to punish Tasha. She had to let Tasha know, you should have let me go. So, I think they're going to be able to reel her in and whatnot and bring her as part of the team. Lorenzo has Bishop, and Bishop is the correctional officer who's there, who is his right-hand man in the prison. What he does is he goes ahead, and that's how he informed them that, okay, Tasha didn't need that plan B for herself. So let's go ahead and watch her. So they have eyes everywhere in the prison.
Of course.
Is that going to cause problems for Tasha?
I don't think it's going to cause problems for Tasha. I think it's going to cause problems for Tariq. I don't think that Tariq really understands the level that he's getting himself into. And I think that it's going to come back to haunt him in the long run. I think it'll cause problems for both of them, but I think it's going to force Tariq to get farther into the game than I feel like he ever really wanted to. And I think it's going to put, that legacy and that payout, I think it's going to put it in jeopardy.
So moving back forward to the Monet and whatnot, when she came in the scene and she was like, y'all got 10 seconds to explain yourselves. Everybody was like, whoa. Basically, man, she's still running the show, man. And she seems to know more. And we discussed the whole dynamic between her and Lorenzo before. So it's like a sprinkle here, a sprinkle there. She knows more about what's directly involved with the family. And Lorenzo knows more about, okay, this is how I want to structure my business going forward. But at the same time, let's go back a little bit and think about the situation with Diana. She seems to be overly protective of Diana. Diana said, this is my life. And she's like, well, what does that mean to the business and the family? And I'm like, really? I mean, are you breeding your children to go ahead and be part of the business, or are you raising your children to go ahead and move forward and accomplish things in life?
I think she's more worried about the business aspect right now. I think she's really trying to prove that she can run it. And I think she's getting a little bit short-sighted, worrying about her being able to run it and not her being able to run it and raise a family. Because she didn't have to do that before. I think the raising the family portion is definitely getting a little bit lost.
All right. And maybe it's too much for her. I mean, she's a single mom.
It's possible.
And she's also trying to raise these kids. I mean, your boy's locked away. That is what it is. So let's go forward to the stuff that gets a lot of entanglements involved. And we're going to be talking about VWAT, your girl, Professor Milberg. All right.
Of course.
We have a whole new slew of information. Because so far, we hear them talking about sexual addiction, love addiction for her. And what we just saw with Jabari, he was like paying smashy cakes in the next room with a student. Is she the one who's sexually addicted and love addicted, or is he?
No, he's stupid because he's going to get himself in trouble.
Go.
All right. Yeah, he's not love addicted or sex addicted. He's an idiot. You just can't do that when you're in that environment. Especially with everything going on today. You just can't do that. Regardless of whether she was next door or not. That's not something that you should partake in. The problem being is that she was next door, and she does seem like she could be a spiteful individual. I think that this is going to go, one of two ways. Either she's going to use it for, to get him out of there because she doesn't want him around anymore, or she's going to use it as blackmail and something that she can hold over his head to get whatever the hell she wants.
Or I like the third option, which I think she's going to go ahead and pursue. I think she's just going to go ahead and say, wow, my sponsor was right all along. I need to be not involved with this guy. Let me just move forward and move past him and separate myself in all ways from him other than business.
I think your 3, which is I need to separate myself, is something that's going to happen via 1 or 2. She's either going to hold it over his head or she's going to use it to get him dismissed from the university.
I don't see that happening because, she still has that feeling for him a little bit. So I don't think she's trying to ruin his life, but she's just trying to improve on her own life. Since we're talking about Jabari, let's go ahead and spin it out. Jabari is whack because this dude right here is being pious and he's saying, you need to do this and do that. And when Oscar confronted Tariq during the conversation, Tariq read the book, which is going next level. All right. So, from what everybody's been experiencing with Tariq so far. So he went ahead and he gave his opinion on it. Now, in the meantime, Lauren changed his mind. So instead of pulling Tariq aside after he saw his paper and saying, hey, this is not what you talked about, he just goes ahead and gives him an F pretty much.
So here's the thing. And this is what I firmly believe this right here. And I think that we'll see this play out in some way, shape, or form. I think that Jabari is jealous of the love and care that he sees in, as you like to refer to as VWAT, that she has for Tariq. So I think he is jealous of that. I think his way of kind of sticking it to Tariq a little bit is being extremely harsh on him and being overly critical in order to kind of stick it to him without him even knowing.
I agree to a certain extent. But let's look back at the situation when Tariq was defending his argument. And Jabari seemed to be shaking his head in agreement. And he was personally offended when Tariq changed point of view, which, Lauren had a lot to do with that. And the other guy who's like, is this guy trying to fail the course? So that probably influenced Lauren even more. So when she went ahead and stepped to Tariq about it, she was fully confident in the fact that saying, okay, well, this is how I play the game. So you should be able to play the game the same way and you'll be successful.
Like I said, I think that class, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that are really going to impact what's going on with Tariq. I think, he's obviously kind of feeling his classmate. He's obviously got his thing for Monet's daughter. I just think that he's got a lot going on right now that's going to hurt him in the long run, honestly. I think one thing that Ghost did very well that Tariq hasn't quite learned yet is staying focused. I think that, when Ghost finally left the family, Ghost said, all right, cool. It's Angela. That's it. that was, he kind of just stuck to one person. I don't think that, Tariq has really learned that. I think Tariq's kind of letting himself get pulled in too many different directions.
Yeah, that's what happens, man. It's like little spaghetti on the string and whatnot, the Michael Jackson theory. All right, so, hey, I definitely want to thank you guys for tuning in. It was definitely another awesome Power Watch from me, Eric Ellerly, B. Lemus. We'd like to say we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, Powerheads. So today what I'm going to be doing for you, very special and very delicious drink called a Monet. So first and foremost, we're going to have to get some mint from my garden and add it to here so that we can muddle it just a little bit so that we can extract all of these mint juices and oils. And of course, you want to use one of these, which is really awesome and great. I'm just going to model all of that mint in there. And you can actually smell all of the mint. And of course, you want to add some of this Bacardi rum, which is Puerto Rican, our famous Puerto Rican Bacardi rum. Very, very delicious. You can use approximately 2 ounces of that rum and add it to your drink. And it's going to add that special taste to it once you mix it with the mint and a little bit of lime juice. And of course, you have your lime here. You can sprinkle just a little bit of lime, so you don't want to overpower all the flavors. And then you want to add a little bit of pineapple juice to it, just to give it that Caribbean kick to it. Every drink in the Caribbean, as you know, has some pineapple juice to it. And of course, if you want to make it a little bit fizzy, make it a little bit cold in such warm weather, we're right here, 80 degrees in Nashville, Tennessee, you can add a little bit of that as well. And if you want to add a little bit of that nutty kick, you want to use a little bit of that French vanilla and mix all of the ingredients with a little bit of ice. Not too much ice, because you do not want to dilute all the flavors that come out of this wonderful and delicious and refreshing drink. And then, of course, you want to use this tumbler right here. Make it shake, shake, shake. You can do a little bit of a salsa dance to it. And then, of course, once you shake it and you see that the shaker is becoming really cold, then, of course, you're going to use a special cup to pour it and make it really nice and special for your guests. So you want to go ahead and garnish your drink with a little bit of rosemary from the garden, just to add a little bit of freshness to it. And voila, salute everybody. Enjoy your show.
Hey Powerheads, I'm back with the question and answer session. The fabulous Fabiola from Cartagena has a question for us.
Do you think Tommy will be back?
So thank you for your question, Fabiola. Basically what's happened is Power has Tommy in his own spinoff, and it's called Force. So that was the one that we expected first, because it seemed like they were further along in filming when the COVID hit. But then after that, it seemed like, okay, Ghost Book 2's heading first. I'm pretty sure that Force will be up next, because that seemed to be the one that was in the can and ready to go when COVID hit. So don't worry, you'll be seeing Tommy soon. Here we go with Brian again, ever faithful from Lynchburg, Virginia. And his statement is,
Yo, what's good, Powerheads? So I got the scoop for y'all. Courtney Kemp mentioned a few weeks back that McLean Davis has a brother. And she just dropped who she wants to play the role. That's right, Reggie Noble, aka Redman. It's about to be lit.
well, what a scoop. That's incredible, because, hey, man, there is no chemistry like Meth and Red. In my opinion, that's one of the best teams, not only in hip hop, but in acting as well. They play off each other instinctively, and their comedic talents just come to full fruition whenever they get together. Now, here's the thing. Power is not really that much of a comedy, so I'm wondering how exactly they're gonna go ahead and inject that comedy in there, or try to make everybody straight-laced. So you got your finger on the power pulse, and I was glad you were able to get that scoop and give it to us, because I can't wait to see that. Are we gonna see straight-laced Meth and Red, or are we gonna see the typical comedic talents of Meth and Red?
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. Johnny Blaze, ain't a damn thing changed.
And lastly, we have Vince coming out of Maryland, the DMV. my hometown.
What's up, powerheads? Sacks, dirtier than Pigpen. Gotta give my boy McLean Davis props for figuring that one out. Sacks always finds a way to slip out from under a rock. The question is, though, do you think Davis is ever gonna catch him?
Yeah, that's a hell of a good analysis, Vince, because Sacks is just too slippery. I think of him like a salamander. I mean, he's gonna break his tail off and escape at any moment. And to tell you the truth, it seems like he is lasting a little bit too long. I mean, Tommy survived, but pretty much everybody else but Tasha got into trouble and ended up being killed off. And I really think it's past Sacks time. We were all screaming for that to happen to Rotimi. It is Sacks time. Let's go. And it's bound to happen. Wait for it, Power fans. It's coming soon to a theater near you. All right, Powerheads. That was an awesome session, an awesome episode. And I can't wait to hear from you again next week. Until then, see you soon.
Hey, Power fans, welcome to the 39th episode of the original Power After Show, the PowerWatch. Man, it just gets deeper and deeper, doesn't it? We have a holes. Shit, we're going to be doing some cuts because I was at a brunch. So, that does the mimosas and shit. But we're going to be doing a couple cuts here. We got the situation. Let's go back to college, man. Let's go back to, Strathmore. I mean, shit. What's the name of the college? Stansfield. Thank you, sir. That's why we have editing. All right. So let's go back to Stansfield.
So we'll see how it goes. God damn it. Oh, God.
Is she the one who's sexually addicted and love addicted, or is he?
No, he's stupid because he's gonna get himself in trouble. So he's gonna get himself in trouble.
Wait. Wait. Go.
All right. Yeah, he's not love addicted or sex addicted. He's an idiot.